The clock strikes 12, I step into the haze. Whispers call me from 1,000 graves. Shadows dance in corners out of sight. I chase the unknown deep into the night. I hunt the fear you dare not face. In the darkness I embrace the trace. The dead, they speak their secrets shown. Welcome to the bizarre and the unknown. A flicker, a chill, a shadowed hand. The unseen lingers where I stand. Through creaking doors and empty halls, I hear the echoes of forgotten calls. I hunt the fear you dare not face. In the darkness I embrace the trace. The dead, they speak their secrets shown. Welcome to the bizarre and the unknown. And the eyes that watch from a place unreal, a touch so cold it makes you feel they're near but hidden, veiled in shade. I walk with ghosts I hunt the fear you dare not face. In the darkness I embrace the trace. The dead, they speak their secrets shown. Welcome to the bizarre and the unknown.
Hey everybody, welcome to this live. This was kind of a spur moment deal. This is a two-part reason why I went live. So I was going through my notes, and I remember going live a couple weeks ago with working on Reign of the Draugr, Dawn of Armageddon. And I had put it under Writer's Workshop on that one because I was trying to come up with a good title for when I do lives working on my books. And I was also going through notes for tonight's show on the Legiō IX Hispana and the journal entries from the Primus Pilus Titus Ursus, which is going to be tonight's show. And I was like, hey, I got an idea. I was like, I want to test this title. So the title for lives when I go, if you guys like it, will be Author Life from Idea to Manuscript. And that will be when I go live doing shows on me working on books, will be on that. So that's kind of where I got the idea from. Now, I have another idea I want to bring. I'm listening. Look at you guys' comments. I have an idea. I was going to do it for this book, but then I remember DA's got one very similar to this one that he's working on and doing. So I may end up doing lives where you guys are with me from beginning to end, and that will be on my historical fiction of a certain character from history in Britain. Um, now, yeah, um, that book and this book is actual historical fiction. At the same time, both of those books are actually considered historical fiction cryptid horrors. So putting these books one of the hardest things I have with publishing books is what genre do I put these under? And these are even more difficult because these are actual historical fictions. This is all my information I get on this book and that book is actual historical fiction of these characters and of this time. Is actual historical, not fiction, but historical documentation of this stuff. But because of what they deal with, is technically considered historical fiction cryptid horrors because they deal with the cryptids and the supernatural. So it makes it difficult. I don't know what you guys think. I'll leave it to y'all in the chat while I'm live or in my chat from if you guys watch this later on. But if you guys like the idea, the two books that I'm considering, and let me pop this up here, excuse me, is this one here, which is the Legiō IX Hispana, the Caledonian Forest, or let me pull this other one up. We can do from beginning to end when I do lives of the People's Sentinel, A Soldier's Ascent. And that was the one I was talking about, which is, let me pull it up here. So, I forgot, I got to correct that one. So this one here, this as the Legiō IX Hispana, I've got the prologue and the chapter 1 done. Like I said, I'll leave it to you guys which one you want to do from beginning to end, and I'll do a live every time I'm working on it. That way you guys can get a taste of it. But this one here, both of them technically are a British historical deal, but one's British and Roman, where this one is strictly British. But I mean, this is what I'm revamping and going through my notes for tonight's show. So we're going to do today's show on the ninth Legiō Hispana. But I'll let you guys tell me in the comments which one you'd like me to do with you guys every time I go live from beginning to end. So that way you guys can be part of the book as well. And I'll let you guys listen to, because I'm doing some alterations because I've on this one, because I found out that some of the historical evidence I found is wrong. So I need to correct it. So that's why I'm going back there and revamping this as I'm going through my notes for tonight's show. So I'll let you listen to the prologue real quick and we'll talk about it. You guys have to bear with me. It's a little slow because my internet's not the greatest today. Come on, baby.
Written by Titus Ursus, Primus Pilus of Legiō IX Hispana, in the 3rd year of Hadrian's reign, 120 AD. This will probably be the last papyrus and entry in my diary. Our legion was ambushed in the wild realm called Caledonian Forest and was almost completely annihilated. Half of my first cohort is all that was left of the 9 Legio. We were pushed into the marsh, and we will probably die here, fighting bravely to the end in the name of Rome and the Emperor. We were attacked by a demonic pack of the barbaric Picts. They looked more like wild beasts than humans. Some of them were dressed in animal furs, painted with strange runic signs. Others seemed to be two-legged wild beasts. They tore us apart as if we were made of paper. I saw our legatus and my brothers in arms being eaten alive. I will never forget their screams. The barbarians attacked us unnoticed, quickly and with wild fury, then disappeared in the fog, mainly at night. Our shields, swords, and armor were no use here. The enemy we face seems to be the ancient wrath of some dark gods we have awakened. We should never invade these lands. I hear demonic howls. They're coming. They're coming.
That is the actual diary entry of Primus Pilus Titus Ursus. And this is what this diary entry is based on, or is what this book is based off of. Now, there is some of my author's embellishment to it because I want to, I've got to put my own creative activity in because we don't know word for word what happened. All we know what happened to that missing legion was this small part of his diary entry that was found. And this is what happened after they found it.
A scrap of the papyrus written by Centurion Titus Ursus. Found in October 120 AD in the Caledonian Forest. Taken to Rome, where it was presented to the emperor and then burned. 2 years later, Emperor Hadrian ordered the construction of a wall on the border of the land called Caledonia in North Britannia. The Legiō IX Hispana was never heard from again. This is my theory on what had happened to the Legiō IX Hispana. It takes place north of where Hadrian's wall in Britannia would be built, and where legends were made. Hadrian's wall is a defensive fortification of the Roman province of Britannia, begun in 122 AD in the reign of the Emperor Hadrian. Running from Wallsend on the River Tyne in the east to Bonus on Solway in the west of what is now northern England, it was a stone wall with large ditches in front and behind, stretching across the whole width of the island. Come, dear readers. Let us embark on a mystery, a myth, a legend, and a tragedy. Come and let us embark on an adventure together, and see what happens to the Legiō IX Hispana.
So all that is what happened. And according, if reading this the way it sounds, I'm not saying it's true. This is why Emperor Hadrian built that wall. Is because of what happened to the Legiō IX Hispana. In English terms, it means the 9th Legion of Hispania. So that's what Legiō IX Hispana means. The Legion 9th Hispania. It was the Spanish Legion. They were brought up in, I think it was 70 AD to help fight the Picts in northern Britain. They were last seen in 120 AD. So this is where my imagination has to come in because I don't know what happened. We don't have anything prior or anything after this diary entry that was found. And why Emperor Hadrian burnt the diary entry, I don't know. I mean, it's all a guess. So this is where my writer's embellishment comes in because I've got to basically use my imagination of what happened during this time. So this book is actually, for me, being the Legiō IX Hispana was already in Britain, they were constantly getting reinforcements. So if these things were destroying the legions there, like it's talking about, I took it upon my that's called speculation or so. Yeah, it is. I mean, basically, this is completely what I think may have happened But this is based off, these guys are reinforcements for the Legiō IX Hispana because they've suffered great losses. So we're going to take, this book will start off where they just reach Britannia, and they're on their way up to meet the rest of the Legiō IX Hispana. Replace the numbers that was lost and replace those who's leaving the Legion. And this is where this takes place. So chapter 1 is called the Legiō IX Hispana, and we're kind of getting an idea of what these people, our characters, are like. Like I said, I'm switching things up because my historical records I originally found said one thing, but I found some that is a lot more accurate. So I'm redoing this chapter here to fit with actual historical dates and times. So this is what I've got on the first chapter so far. As I work, I've done some editing to it already.
If you have overcome your inclination and not been overcome by it, you have reason to rejoice. Plautus or Titus Maxius Plautus, 254 BC, 184 BC.
This was a quote by him. In this book, I'm going to try to use as much of the Roman quotes as possible. And
my name is Titus Ursus, Primus Pilate.
That's what we're going to see here for each chapter. All right.
My name is Titus Ursus, Primus Pilus, senior centurion of the first cohort of the Legiō IX Hispana. My legion and I have arrived in the barbaric island called Britannia. This land is fertile and beautiful, but the barbarians are, well, let me put it this way.
I just realized that was spelt wrong. Let me get back over here. I forgot how to spell it. I just realized that was spelt wrong, so I've got to correct that. Where you at? Where you at? Where you at? Oh, no, maybe it was spelt right. Huh, never mind. Okay. No, man. It was right. All right. Get back to it here.
This land is fertile and beautiful, but the barbarians are, well, let me put it this way. They are ignorant, they stink, and they are very uncivilized.
Now, this part here is actually true. This is how Romans viewed barbarians. It's very well documented. This is how Romans viewed barbarians. And Rome was known for conquering lands for having be able to provide more food and more stuff to Rome. So, fertile land, which Britain is very fertile land. That's why so many cultures throughout history, Romans, Picts, Scots, Saxons, Anglos, the Nordic people, all of them were trying to conquer Britannia for this reason. The land was fertile, so it produced a lot of food. That's why all these countries tried to conquer Britain was for that fact right there. So that's why I had to put this in this book, is because it's historically accurate.
They are dirty, and every time they look upon us, I cannot help but think that they are imagining ways to slit our throats. By the gods, why did Emperor Hadrian send us here? Have we not done enough to warrant a more civilized station, like Hispana, or even back home in Rome? What have we done to deserve this punishment? He says that we will be the ones who pacify this land. From what I can see so far, that will be impossible.
Now, this is literally how a lot of Romans thought. They did their time in hardship, so that way they can go back to a more cushioned, basically, job. I would say. So they go through, they make their bones, they climb the ranks in these harsh lands, trying to conquer things, hoping that their hard work and perseverance would grant them a more leisure duty to finish up their time. So we're seeing this play out in my mind. This is how Titus was thinking. So we're seeing this, how this is playing out in Titus's mind, and that's why I wrote that paragraph that way.
Much of Britannia has already been conquered, but from what I am told, the Picts to the north are unholy demons, and fight like they are from Tartarus, and Hades himself cast them out. If this is true, then conquering them will be no small act in itself. I can only hope that this act will be the last of mine in my legion's hard campaigns. Come nightfall, we will reach the far northern part of Rome's land. Tomorrow our test begins. I believe in my men. They are battle-hardened soldiers.
Oh, I just realized I wrote that chapter wrong. So we need to go back in here. I need to refix that right here so it'll fit right. By tomorrow's nightfall, we will reach the far northern parts of Rome's land. I think that sounds better. Rome's conquered land. Let's see how that sounds compared to how it originally was. I just realized I didn't change that part.
By tomorrow's nightfall, we will reach the far northern part of Rome's conquered land. Tomorrow our test begins. I believe in my men. They are battle-hardened soldiers. Every last one of them is worthy of Elysium.
And that's actually Elysium. Elysium was the Elysium was the Roman heaven. So you're going to see a lot of references to Roman stuff because this is coming from a Roman legion. You know, their gods and their heaven and their wording, everything's going to be Roman based in this book.
Has earned that honor 100-fold. There is no better legion in all of Rome. I am to meet with Palcus Curtius Senecio, the Legatus Legionis, commander of the legion. He is a pompous ass and only got his command because his father served in the Senate, and he seeks to do the same. I would not put it past him for this being his reason for why he was here. He seeks fame and glory to boost his desires. If it were not for my military skills, we would have lost battles from the beginning. He may be the commander, but the legion listens to my orders on the battlefield. I look forward to the day that he leaves the legion and is out of our hair. As for me, I have spent my whole life as a soldier. I have left blood in the soil of lands all over the world. I have fought in many campaigns and climbed the ranks by my own hands and deeds. My best friend and brother, Sextus Caecina Ferriolius, is the centurion of the second cohort. We became soldiers together and have fought next to each other for our whole career. There is no better man on this planet than him. I owe my life to him many times over. To hear him say that the role is reversed.
I just realized I wrote that wrong, so I'm fixing that real quick. Now, this was very common back in these days that the commanding officer was the son of a senator and sought to seek his seat in the Rome Senate as well. This was very, very common back in these days. So that's why I kind of wrote it this way. I don't know if it's true. Yeah, and sadly they don't get. That's the best narration I could find for this programmer. So it's sad.
To hear him tell it, the role is reversed. I put my quill into the ink pot and closed my journal. At a young age, I have made it a habit of writing in my journal every evening. My father told me once that a man should record his deeds so that the next generation can reflect upon them.
And this was a
My
common Roman
grandfather
thought.
was a legionnaire in the fabled Legiō IX Hispana under the great Julius Caesar. He was killed during the last fighting against Mark Antony, where he served as Cantorian of the 4th cohort under Octavian. My father was just a month away from making centurion when he was killed serving under Nerva. He died during the revolt by the Praetorian Guard in October 97. He was no fan of Nerva, but he was a true Roman and died as such. Sextus was an orphan, and my father brought him into our home and raised him. Sextus and I were as brothers from that day forward. He threw a lavish feast when I married the love of my life, Veturia Carina.
Now, all these Roman names, a lot of these is what's coming out of my head. I have a program that I go to, and I'm like, okay, I need to know a male's name for this group of people, or a female's name. And then I go in there and I look up and research last names. And I look up names on how I can combine these. So a lot of these names in here is names worse than Mr. Steinford. Wonder, oh my God, I forgot about him or so. Yeah. So a lot of these names is what I came up with. I'm not saying they're actual names of the people who were during this time, but I'd have no record of it. So I literally have to create a lot of these names, and that's how I do it, is this. And the story between him and his friend Sextus, that happened quite often back in this time frame. So I wanted to add that in there, and there's a reason for it, and we'll see it later on in the book, but there's a reason why I wanted that connection between Titus and Sextus is because of what's going to happen later on in the book.
Sextus never married. He claimed that there were too many whores for him to visit to settle down. He is good with my 6 children, often spoiling them. He thought of them as his own. My thoughts were disturbed by a familiar voice. Titus, are you in there, you pimple on the ass cheek of Juno? I laughed at his jest. Come in, you shit stain of Hades. This has been our way since we were boys. I enjoy it just as much as I did as a kid.
Now, this was actual trash talking back in this time. I don't know the exact wording, so part of it I had to improvise. But this is literally how they would talk trash back and forth, either as a jest or as insults. This is actually how they talk. So this is why I had to put it this way in this book for that reason.
I laughed at his jest. Come in.
Oh. And if you guys, while I'm working on this, if you guys got questions, ask it. That's what these lives are for.
He walked in with a big smile on his face, holding a clay pot of Pascha.
Now, Pascha, I've got this down here in the bottom, is a mixture of water and wine vinegar. This was a common drink amongst the legions during this time. They drank a lot of Pascha. And because it was the only thing that they can make abundance of. They couldn't make real wine and stuff like that as easily as they could Pascha. So that was a very common drink amongst the soldiers in the legion. But you'll see it down here. I didn't do it on these others. I should have. I may go through and correct all that. But whenever I got a word that somebody doesn't know, like this one here, I add it down here in the bottom to let you know what it is.
Care to join me in a drink or two?
Oh, it froze up. Give it a second.
I am tired of Pascha. I want real wine. I said as I sighed. Oh, does the Primus Pilus think he is too good for Pascha? Very well then. I shall drink your portion for you. He said mockingly, I snatched the pot from his hand and drank a big gulp. After I finished, I handed it back to him. I never said that I did not want a drink, old friend. I just merely said that I wished for some real wine for a change. He took a healthy swig, and then his face turned grim. Speak true to me, brother. Do you feel as I do? Like this deployment will be the death of us. I let out a sigh and looked to the heavens. I would be lying if I did not say that this campaign feels different than all the others. There is a curse on these lands, and I would not be surprised if these Brits were to blame for it, from what I have read. These Picts are animal-like barbarians who rarely lose in battle. They say they fight like beasts, and they lust for blood. I feel as you do, and that causes me great concern.
Now, this was a very common depiction of how Picts were, not just by the Romans, but from the Saxons, from the Britons, from the Anglos. This was a very common depiction of how these Picts were and how they fought. And in truth be told, the Picts rarely lost battles. So that is actually historically accurate of what people looked when they thought about the Picts. I mean, that's it. That's from multiple different cultures that said the same thing about the Picts.
He passed me the pot. I often think about the happiness that you and Vittoria have. Your amazing children and the love that is in your home. Truth be told, I want that. The sad truth is, I feel that I will die in battle and orphan a family if I were to have one. That is why I stick to my wars.
Uh-oh, froze up again.
You would make a great husband and father. I have seen you with my kids, and they adore you. Do you not wish to pass on your name to another? I asked him. I love your wife and kids, with all my being. I think of them as my own. Although if I were to try and couple with your wife, I fear that she would cut off my manhood before I could get it done. We both chuckled at that. No, dear brother. I do not know my family name. The only one that I have ever known was yours. It would not be right of me to claim that as my own. I passed the pot back to him. Yeah, she would definitely do that to you, but brother, you have just as much claim to my family name as I. Our father raised you and took you as his son. He would have been honored for you to claim our name. I miss him dearly, Titus. There is not a day that goes by that I do not wish to see him again. I cursed the gods for years for taking him from us. I know now that it was his time, but that does not make me feel any better about it. He told me with a hint of sadness in his voice and in his eyes. As do I, brother, as do I. Come, let us speak of this no more tonight. We have a big day ahead of us tomorrow, and we must be ready in case we are ambushed. Let us sleep tonight, I said to him while looking at the roof of my tent. We got up and hugged each other. He stumbled from my tent and was shortly swallowed up by the darkness. He was right, though. I feel that our bones would lie on this land and will never be seen again. I blew out my lamp and crawled into my bed. Sleep is what I needed at the moment, for tomorrow brings a hardship that is known amongst all soldiers. I found the sleep that I sought following the thoughts of my family. I miss them dearly, and pray to the gods that I will be able to hold them once again. It has been 1 year, 8 months, and 14 days since I last saw them. I hope that the count will end soon. My dreams were unnerving, and my sleep was restless. My dream was of battling a beast that I had not seen before, and I awoke the following morning drenched in sweat and breathing heavily, for the last image of my dream was a massive mouth filled with sharp teeth, which took my life. I reached over and picked up my pot of water. I drained the contents of the pot. After that dream, I knew that I could not fall back to sleep. I grabbed up my sword belt and strapped it around my waist, then put my gladius into the scabbard. I felt no need to don my armor. I just needed to walk and take in the cool night air. There was the knight Centuria walking the perimeter. I watched for a moment before approaching him. When I came into the light of the nightly fire, he placed his right fist over his heart. Primus Pilus. I placed my right fist over my heart in return. Legionary, pray tell how the night watch goes. The night fares well, Primus Pilus. All is calm, but there is an oddness to the night air. He told me while peering into the darkness. Before I could respond, a voice came from the dark. The barbarians are watching us this night. It is their strength that you smell. Stay alert, Centuria, but I think nothing will come of this night. We turned our gaze to see from whom the voice came. From the shadows emerged Tribuni and Gusti Clabii Gaius Fulvius Cicero. We both snapped to attention and placed our right fist to our chest, and in unison we spoke, Tribuni and Gusti Clabii. He placed his right fist over his heart and bowed his head. Relax, men, this is the dark hour. The time when the evil likes to roam. I am more concerned with that than I am with protocol at this hour. He took a second to steady the dark before speaking again.
Why did that? I know I fixed that earlier. I don't know why I fixed that.
He took a second to study the dark before speaking again. Primus, would you do me the honor and take a walk with me?
Now, when he was talking about the dark hour, that was actually true. A lot of people during that, hey, Jonaside, a lot of people during that time believed, from midnight till about 2 or 3 o'clock in the morning was where the old saying, the witching hour, comes from, actually stems from these beliefs. And they felt that was when the realm of darkness was the most free to roam the land. So that's why I had put that in there like that. Because that was something that all soldiers and civilians alike feared, those hours, because that was the more prevalent time for the dark creatures to roam the land.
I bowed my head. As you like, Tribuni. Once we were out of earshot of the Centuria, he spoke to me. The gods have seen fit to send.
Why did that correct that?
Once we were out of earshot of the Centuria, he spoke to me. The gods have seen fit to send you a dream, it seems. Pray tell, Primus, what did they tell you?
Now, this was something very common back in them days, too. If you had a dream, you generally didn't keep it in, because people of this time frame thought dreams showed you something of the future or the past. So when you have a dream like this, you try to figure out the meaning. Is it a dark omen? Is it a good omen? This is something that these people back in this time frame believed in very, very much. Oh, did I miss somebody? Okay, maybe not. So that's why I put that in there, because that was literally how these people thought.
I thought about it for a moment before speaking. Tribuni, they showed me images of a beast. I am not sure, but I think they were Versapels.
Now, Versapels, like I've got it down here, is a Roman name for werewolves. So we're kind of seeing how this coincides with his diary entry. I just took it as I just wrote my thoughts into it as he had a dream about it. So, I mean, that part there, I can't tell you if it actually happened. That's straight out of my head. But these Versapels is what the Romans called werewolves.
I am not for sure, but that is what they seem to be. In the end, they devour me. Sir, do you know what this dream means? Gaius thought about it, and I could see the concern on his face. Titus, I believe this is an omen, a very bad omen. I believe they are saying that this land will be the death of us. I hope that I am not correct, but if I am, then this will be our last campaign. He stopped walking, and I did the same. He looked me in the eyes. Say nothing to anyone about this. You did well to inform me of this dream. Give me time to ponder this more. The gods like to play pranks on us mortals. Let us pray that this is what they are doing. We can.
Now, this was also a common belief amongst them back in time that the gods like to play pranks on people, on the mortals. And that's just not Rome. That's several cultures throughout history. So we're I had to add that in there because that is literally how these people thought back then. And that's you kind of see it play out in Titus and Gaius. They're hoping this was a prank from the gods and not a bad omen saying what's going to happen to them. So you see the conflict, and this is the type of conflict that these people back in this day dealt with on a daily basis.
Continued walking. Tribune, if this dream is of Versipels, do you know of a way to kill them? He blew some air out before talking. I know of no such way. There could be, but I know not. Titus, has Legatus Halcus spoken to you as of late? I shook my head. Nothing more than the normal daily talk about the Legion, sir. We have spoken, Titus. We feel that you are ready for the rank of Tribune. If we survive this campaign, I seek retirement. I have grown too old to fight and seek the comforts of my vineyard back in Spain. I wish to live out the remainder of my days, harassing my wife and spoiling my grandchildren. I grow tired of sleeping in cold mud and wondering who will end my life. He told me with a slight grin. I am honored, sir. I would gladly accept, thank you. I said with a hint of excitement in my voice. Gaius chuckled, it should be me thanking you, young Titus. You have been a soldier like no other. Your battle prowess is unmatched, and you have saved my life more times than I could count. Sir, you have been a great leader, teacher, and counselor. There has been none that I have looked to, such as you, since my father went to Elysium. I can only hope that I am half the leader that you and my father have been. There was a look of distant memory on my face at that moment. Gaius laughed and placed a hand on my shoulder. I think that I have taught you well, young Titus, for the art of your tongue has no equal. Come, let us seek sleep once again. Dawn approaches, and the travel north is fraught with many dangers. We grasped each other in a warrior's grip before parting and returning to our tents. The words that he spoke to me raced through my thought cage. They have been both good and bad. If we were to encounter the Versipels here in Britannia, then I must find a way to alter this dream. Sleep again found me, and I slept well the remainder of the night. I woke as the sun was peeking over the horizon. The sounds of men stirring, horses calling out their hunger, and gulls singing their complaints could be heard. I lay there a moment before getting out of my bed. I walked over to the wash basin and splashed cold water onto my face to wash the sleep from me. I took my tunic off and put a fresh one on. Then Sextus walked in carrying his armor. He placed them on the ground and walked over to me. Morning, you wrinkly-faced old witch. I smiled as I shook my head. Have you not looked at yourself in a mirror? I would think twice before you mocked my looks again if you did. We both laughed, and he aided me in putting my armor on. Titus, you need a slave to aid you on the day-to-day tasks. I shook.
Now, back in this time, Romans had slaves. I mean, that was a very common thing. And for a Primus Pilus to have one to help him on his day-to-day chores, like, making his food, getting his water drawn for a bath or drinking, or putting on his armor, keeping everything nice and neat and his armor clean. This was very, very common. I took a different approach with Titus on this one and didn't give him one. But you're going to see something play out in the next chapter. But I'm not one for that type of deal. So this part is not accurate at all. Be honest with you. This is just me being me in this writing.
Shook my head no. Sextus, you know my feelings about slaves. I have no use for them. I would not wish to be a slave, so why would I force that on someone else? I know, brother, but you are Primus Pilus. It is expected of you to have at least one. This could hinder your advancement. He told me while yanking the strings of my armor tight. I chuckled, it hinders me not, for last night, Gaius informed me that I am to be promoted to Tribuni Angusti Clabii after this campaign, and he retires. He punched me in the arm. You talk false, brother. You are too damn ugly for that rank. It is no jest. I am to be promoted. I told him. He stopped and looked at me. Father would be proud of you, brother. I am proud of you. Who will be the next Primus Pilus? I thought about it for a moment. Centurion Paulus Papias Damasus of the IXTH cohort would be my pick. He stopped what he was doing with his mouth opened. That chat stains from Pluto's stinking ass crack. He is the dumbest centurion in all of Rome. Did you know he bets his sister? That would be a mistake. I could not hold my laughter anymore. I turned to him and placed my hands on his shoulders. I jest, dear brother. You will take my place. There is no better man for the job. He grumbled. You should not jest on such matters as such. You can be...
Oops.
He grumbled. You should not jest on such matters as this. You can be cruel, dear brother. I chuckled as I finished putting my armor on. Shat stains of Pluto's stinking ass crack. That is a good one. I will give you that. When we finished getting ready, we made our way to Legatus Palcus's tent. Today we sail up the river Tyne. That in itself would be fraught with many dangers, but it is the quickest way to reach our location. We are to aid Gnaeus Julius Agricola, Legatus Legionis of the Legiō XX Valeria Victrix. They have been having trouble with the Brits called Pits. They are often referred to as painted people, likely due to their practice of body painting or tattooing. They are fearless fighters and were leagues over the Brits. We walked into the tent, and Palcus was sitting in a chair, and Gaius was standing to the right of the table. They were looking over parchments received from Gnaeus, as well as studying the map of Britannia. Palcus was talking to Gaius with some force. We will follow the prearranged route. Damn these barbarians. We are Romans. They mean nothing to us, and if we cannot kill any who attacks us, then we are not Romans. I will hear no more of this Gaius, and that is final. Legatus Palcus, hear reason. These Brits know these lands better than we. They know where to attack us, and we would be fools not to consider this. Gaius said with a concerning forcefulness in his voice. Gaius, if I have to repeat myself, you will no longer be a tribune. My orders will be followed as I command them. Say another word about this, and I will have you whipped on the wheel for your disobedience. Am I perfectly clear, Gaius? Palcus said while slamming his fist down on the table.
Now, being whipped on a wheel was a common punishment back in these days for soldiers of Rome. That was a very common practice of discipline amongst the ranks. If you need a proofer for grammar, spelling, and such, it was my best and second favorite subject. Yeah, that's what my Ihin Yar readers are for, Auntie. My Ihin Yar readers, I have that as a paid subscription for a reason. I don't want people just to claim to be an Ihin Yar reader so they can read my books. I want somebody who's legitimately going to read them and comment and let me know how things are going. But on my Patreon, the Ihin Yar readers, that is what that tier is for. So they get to look at my books before it's ever published, and they get to read it and yeah, they do, Auntie. And they get to help me with it, to let me know how it's going before it even reached the public.
Gaius huffed and stepped back from the table. He chose this time to be silent, for he knew this arrogant ass would whip him just to show him who was in charge. Sextus and I stepped up and placed our right fists over our hearts. We greeted him at the same time, Salvio, Legatus Palcus. He gave us a dismissive wave, Salvio. Still looking over the notes and map, he began to speak. As you both know, we will be taking the river Tyne up to Legatus Gnaeus. We are to provide him with aid with these picks. Gaiso here thinks we will be attacked along the river. Communication says there has not been an attack on passing ships in a month. I want you three to prepare the Legion for departure. I wish to reach him before dark. Now you have your orders, so leave my sight. We all saluted.
So yeah, it's INR readers. If you go to my Patreon, give me a second here. Where did my code sheet go? Oh, there's my cheat sheet. I think it's this one here. You might be able to find a link. I know it's tied into my profile on my YouTube as well. But it's a tier on my Patreon for those who are sincere about reading my books and commenting on them. And oh nope, that's the wrong one. Oh, it's this one. My Patreon link should be in that one there. But it's that tier is strictly for, people who come in and go, hey, I really want to be a reader and do all that stuff that you was talking about. And the reason why I have it as a paid subscription is, like I said, I want people who's going to be legitimate about, reading my books and giving me actual opinions, grammar deals, and stuff like that. That's what I messed up on. I really didn't want to do that as a paid subscription because I didn't want to make that as a possibility. But in order to keep people true, so I wanted to keep people true that they really are interested in being someone to help me with the writing of my books. So that's why I have that as I believe it's a tier 1 or tier 3. I can't remember what it is on my Patreon, but that's what that's for.
I want you three to prepare the Legion for departure. I wish to reach him before dark. Now you have your orders, so leave my sight. We all saluted and turned to leave the tent. As we exited, we walked away for a bit before speaking. Gaius turned to us. That wrinkled old fool will get us killed. I do not care what he says. I want us to be ready for an attack. If we are not prepared, then we will lose many before we reach the north. Are you both okay with this order that I just gave? We both nodded that we agreed with him. It makes sense, and I felt that we would be attacked. Good, now go and prepare your cohort. I will inform the other centurions. We saluted him and then turned to prepare our men. The rest of the walk was in silence. We both knew what would happen for disobeying Paulus's orders, but Gaius was right, and we needed every sword in the Legion if we were to win this fight. I walked up to Principales Agrippa Picius Julianus. Principales Agrippa, ready the cohort. We will be leaving within the hour. Make sure they stay on guard. There could be trouble during our travels. He saluted me and bowed his head. As you wish, Primus. He turned and started to shout out commands. I smiled as I watched my well-disciplined cohort snap to their task. The gods had truly blessed me with the best fighting men in all of Rome. I would lay my life down for them, and I know they would do the same for me. We have spilled blood together, and that creates a bond like no other. We laughed together, and my men knew they could come to me for anything. Agrippa was a damn good Principales. He had fought in many battles and knew how to control the men. There were very few discretionary actions needed in my cohort. My men knew where I stood, and they respected me as much as I respected them. Optiotype.
So the Rumble is the free one. Auntie, it's the Patreon. Click on the Patreon one. Let me highlight this and I'll put it in the link. This is the one where you find the Aihin Yar readers. So you go there and you look for the Aihin Yar tier. It's $10 a month. And that's the ones for that do all that for me.
Furious Gabinius Supers walked up to me. Sir, may I have a word with you in private, away from the men?
That would be a good idea, Auntie. I mean, if that is something that you love, I'll see what I can do about helping you reach that goal. Because I mean, a good editor. I mean, a good editor gets paid a lot of money. I can't afford an editor. I mean, they're upwards around $500 a book to edit, and I can't afford that. You won't be able to charge that right off the bat because you got to get your name known. But if I can help you on getting it known, I'll do what I can to help you. I have a friend that does voice acting searches every once in a while. Oh, that's cool, or so. That's a good one too. If you can get a good voice actor, that's a good one too. I mean, I would love to have my books be turned into a movie or something. And I'm always trying to find so now that I'm doing voices on some of my commercials to advertise my books and stuff like that. Like I started using my own voice as the narrator, but I use other voices for like my short stories when I'm doing those. I use other voiceovers for the parts or for the roles in those short stories. So my sci-fi romance short stories that you see on my YouTube, that's my voice as a narrator and my voice on some characters, but I use other narrators to voice the characters in those short stories. Heck yeah, Andy, I'll help you out the best I can. Product is the account. Those are cool videos. Oh yeah, and it is fun. I mean, that's why I started doing those sci-fi short story romance stories that I write. Those are actual stories that I write that I release on my YouTube. And I need to do one. Well, it cost me quite a bit of money to get it done that way, but I just don't have the setup to do it any other way right now. So I have to use, which I don't have the money to do right now. But I want to be putting some more out. It costs a lot of money every time I make one of those videos and release it. So I can only do it. Hey, Roxanne. So I can only do it, from time to time.
I motioned with my hand for him to join me in my tent. We walked side by side, and I opened the flap to my tent for him. He walked in and stood at attention. I followed behind him and placed my helmet on my table. Relax, Optio Tiberius, and say what you need. He relaxed a little, well, as much as a legionary could. It is drilled in us since day one. The discipline needed to be a soldier, and we all followed it. Sir, what do we know of these Brits? I motioned with my hand for him to take a seat. I poured us both a glass of Pasca, and I gave him his. I sat down across from him. That is a good question, Tiberius. We do not have much to go on as of yet.
I think I spelled that wrong. Let me double check, but I'm pretty sure I spelled that wrong. Yes, I did. Okay, good. I fixed it.
I poured us both a glass of Pasca, and I gave him his. I sat down across from him. That is a good question, Tiberius. We do not have much to go on as of yet. The legatus seems not to consider them much of a threat. Sir, I take it that the tribune think otherwise. He said with a hint of knowing.
Yeah, you'll have to email him to get his address, Auntie. I live in Missouri, and he lives over in the Virginia area. So you'll have to email him to get his address to send him some of that stuff. No, I live in Missouri.
Smiled at him. Tiberius, you will make a fine centurion one day. Your wisdom is good for your age. You are correct if they were as easy as the legatus would have us believe. Why were we called here to aid the XXTH here? We fear that there will be trouble as we travel up the river. I want to make sure that none of the legion is harmed and is always on guard. Are you okay with disobeying the legatus' orders to follow my own? He thought before he spoke. Sir, we have fought many battles together, spilt blood together. You have always put our safety above your own. With all due respect, the legatus has done neither, and I can speak for the men as well as myself when I say, we will follow you to the gates of Tartarus before we trust his judgment. I smiled.
To the Romans, Tartarus is hell. I used to be stationed in Georgia, Fort Benning, Georgia, at one time, Auntie. Yeah, oh, okay, yeah, you're close. But yeah, I was stationed in Fort Benning, Georgia for a little while. Oh, that's cool, Auntie.
At him. He took a drink, then set his cup down. You are the best primus that we have ever known. I am with you, and the men are with you. I will make sure we are ready for an ambush if it is to come. I nodded my thanks to him. He got up and gave me a salute, strength, and honor. I got up and returned the salute, strength, and honor. He turned from me and headed out of my tent. This was a slippery slope that we traveled. Disobeying the legatus could end badly for us. I walked out of my tent and looked to the woods. I could not help but think it was hiding something dark from us. There was an uneasiness to this land, and it troubled me. But Cantaburnium came to break down my tent and pack my stuff. I reached into my tent and grabbed my helmet. I nodded at them to begin. Sextus rode up on a horse and had another at tow. Brother, hop on and come with me. I want to show you something. I climbed on and followed him to the section of woods to the north of the camp. We stopped, and he climbed down off his mount. I followed him. He took me just inside the tree line. He pointed to a spot next to a tree. I bent over and looked closely. There, next to the tree, was the largest wolf print that I have ever seen. I whispered, Versailles. I began to slowly scan the forest for anything odd. Have you told anyone about this? No, I came here to get away for a moment when I discovered it. He told me, go and bring Tribune Gaius here. He must see this. I will remain here and look around. Be quick about it. I told him with a little force in my voice. As he left, I took in all the sights and sounds around me. I noticed something strange on the ground, about 10 paces in front of me. I drew my sword and slowly made my way to it. When I was a couple of paces away, I was shocked at what I had discovered. There on the ground, covered in blood and dirt, was a little boy, about 10. I made my way to his side and began to look over him. I was startled when he groaned. Quickly, I picked him up and carried him out of the woods. Sextus and Gaius had just ridden up when I emerged from the woods. Sextus, show Gaius what you have discovered.
Yeah.
I need to take this boy to the hospital at once. Sextus dismounted and took the boy from my arms. I climbed up on my mount, and he handed him to me. I grabbed the reins and raced off towards the hospital. I was glad to see that they did not have everything packed up. One of the workers took the boy from me. They began to look over him and provide him with aid. After an hour, one of the doctors came up to me. The boy is fine. There are some minor scratches, but he will pull through. He will not talk to us. That is not uncommon, given the trauma that he had been through. Sir, those scratches are from a beast larger than anything that I have ever seen. I do not know what made them. We can only hope that the boy will talk soon, and we can get some answers. I nodded at him and went to the boy's side. The Legiō IX Hispana had been stationed here for a while, and we were the replacements. They have suffered heavy losses, and this replacement detachment is the biggest ever recorded. With what we just saw, I could see why.
So that's the end of chapter 1. So now that we got that done, we can start on chapter 2. And what, Aurora? Yeah, I know, honey. So now this is where things are going to start getting interesting, because they're now getting ready to head up to replace the lost numbers of the Legiō IX Hispana that's been up there the whole time. I think I'm spelling that wrong. Meow. Meow, meow. Yeah, baby. Do a quick search here. Tyne. So yeah, I was spelling it wrong. That's what I thought. What, honey? Yeah. You know, both of you are being very noisy today. You know that? Yeah. Yeah, that's pretty much. Yeah, she's my new. Ever since Baby disappeared, you know, Aurora's always been a co-author of Speaks, but now she, you know, Baby was more so because she always slept over here on the printer, and now it's Baby's or Aurora's taking up that mantle. Honey, don't be on my keyboard. You know you're not supposed to be on my keyboard. I can't type when I'm holding on to these. You're gonna have to be on my shoulder. Get up there. Okay, I got to look up at some Roman quotes here. Ah, your claws. Quit using your claws. It's hard with the internet doing what it's doing. I usually have another screen popped up. It's got all my quote stuff. So I'm going to use a different one this time. So I don't have. Hey, oh. Damn it, your claws, honey. That hurts. That's not. It's not getting me what I want. Let me see if I can pull it up on this one real quick. Yeah, it's not on that one. I don't want the city. Honey, quit. Your claws hurt. It's giving me everything but what I want. Your claws. Okay, there we go. Now try to find a quote that best fits the chapter I'm writing about. Mm. Okay, I'm gonna do it this way. It's not giving me my phone is being a pain in the butt. Give me a second, guys. I'll be right back with you. I've got to look this up. This is the hard part when you're trying to get something said from. Oh, that's a good one. We're going to use that one. I kind of like that one. on. The less a man is acquainted with the sweets of life, the less the reason he has to be afraid of death. By Flavius Vincentius Renus. Oh, well, I just realized I'd done something wrong. So, we got to go in here and do something that I forgot to do. No, I forgot to do a couple things. So, honey, quit using your claws, please. That does not feel good. Got to do that. Nope, that's the one I was looking for. Oops. There we go. Ow. All right, now we're caught up to what we need to do. Hey, Roger. Okay. So, chapter 2, the River Tyne. This is where they're going to be traveling up the river to North Britain. Turn that heater off because I'm getting cold. The wood stove's finally kicking in. Jeff and I had plans for me to write his and Donnie's stories, but he went and left us to. Oh, yeah. That's not a bad idea. Okay, tell me what you guys think. I kept the unconscious boy next to me as we traveled up the river. He has been asleep since the surgeons treated his wounds. I made sure the bandages stayed clean and I kept a damp cloth on his head to aid in keeping the fever down. Every time I changed his bandages, I would look at the large claw marks on his chest. I have traveled most of this world and seen my share of animal wounds, but none compared to this. Fear swelled up in me about what could have caused this. It angered me to think what this would do to or what. That's I messed that up. It angered me to think what would have done this to a young boy. None of this made sense, but I was often taken back to my dream that I had. Could this be what my dream was telling me or trying to tell me? So you're seeing this play off in his head. He told me a great story about he prepared a Sam Squatch ass with he peppered Sam Squatch ass with paintballs, and later he dreamed about being with the family group and them all making fun of the one with the spotted ass. That's funny because the paint wouldn't come off the fur. It would be using some part of my anthropology degree. We study or examine the claw marks, maybe. Yeah. Um, the thing is, they didn't. So, something dogman is a new term that was coined in, I think, 1984. Prior to then, everybody called these things werewolves. So, he knows of them because of stories passed down from generation to generation, but he's never encountered one. And now he's encountered this young boy that was attacked by something, and these claw marks don't match anything that any of them know about. So now he's going back to that dream he had the night before about this creature eating him during a battle. Unaliving him and you think of that conversation between him and Gaius the night before and what he was talking about and the verse spells. This is all reflecting in his head. So, I don't know. Would that make sense? I would study at those large claw marks on his chest, or I would re-examine the close claws marks on his chest. Would that actually fit in this? Because he's trying to think. He's just looking at him. It's not really doing anything to him. He's just looking at him, trying to figure out what this is. I don't know. Because he's not really examining them or prodding them. He notices them and he's like, I can't think of anything that I've traveled or any animal attack I've ever experienced that had this massive large claw tags. Hey Amy. What did I miss? Okay, give me a second here. Okay. So the paragraphs, I kept the unconscious boy next to me as we traveled north up the river. He has been asleep since the surgeons treated his wounds. I made sure the bandages stayed clean and kept a damp cloth on his head to aid in keeping the fever down. Every time I changed his bandages, I would look at those large claw marks because that's all he did. He was seeing them when you changed the bandages on his chest. I have traveled most of this world and seen my share of animal wounds, but none compared to this. My fear swelled up in me about what could have caused this. It angered me to think what would have done this to a young boy. None of this made sense, but I was often taken back to my dream that I had. Could this be what my dream was trying to tell me? And in this paragraph here, he's just seeing them as he's changing the bandages and he's trying to figure out what was going on, you know? Yeah, he was just changing the bandages. Because they're on the boat heading north now. Yeah. Yeah, because well, he wasn't purposely thinking of it. It's just like the images of his dream was reflashing in his head when he was looking at those marks. So he wasn't purposely going back and thinking about the dream. He just can't help but see that, and images of his dream would reflash in his head. Maybe I need to put it that way. That's probably what I need to do. I guess it may sound a little better. None of this made sense, but images of my dream kept appearing in my mind's eye. Could this be what my dream was trying to tell me? What do you think? Hey, Unreal. Does that make a little bit more sense? Take it easy, Amy. Let's see. I could be dreams. I would need to think about this more when we are not surrounded by danger. Only the gods knew what waited for us in these dark, mysterious woods. Death could come from us at any moment, and I needed to keep my focus on that. Yeah, honey. Yeah, get the catnip out. Yeah, I need to get some. I'm out. We got some that grows out here in a bucket, but my daughter, I think, ripped it out. So I'm going to have to get some more planted. But I got an old wash pan out in my yard that we usually grow catnip in for the cats. She's being stubborn. She wants outside, then she wants back inside. She wants outside, then she wants back inside. And it's just, Monty, I'm not sure. I don't follow Barry on YouTube, so I don't know if anything was put up about him or not. Oh, I forgot his name. There it is. Only the gods knew what waited for us in the dark, in these dark, mysterious woods. Death could come for us at any moment, and I needed to keep my focus on that. I watched the tree line as we crept along the shoreline. There were times when men would have to get out of the boats with ropes to help us get past shallow areas. This was very dangerous for those who had to leave the safety of the boats. Anything could happen to them, and there was very little that we would be able to do about it. Even though Legatus Paucus did not order some of the men to keep watch, others and I did. We knew the dangers, and we have seen what happens many times. See, it changed. I wanted to put in there. We've seen what happens too many times, but they wanted that removed. I think two needs to be in there. We knew the dangers and have seen what happens too many times. What do you guys think? Oh, okay. That makes sense. I think two needs to be in there too many times, but maybe I'm wrong. And have seen what happens many times. No, that's just to me. And we've seen what happens too many times. To me, that makes more sense, but maybe I'm wrong. I am dyslexic. What do you guys think on that? Should two remain in there or should it be removed? I knew I spelled that wrong. Oh, okay. Guess that's right. Okay, you guys haven't made much more. We were less than a half day's travel when the first attack happened. They came for us under the cover of the woods. We could not see them, but their missiles of death found us first. I quickly got the men ready and in a defensive position. Shields, men, get your shields up, or Hades will claim your souls. Archers, return fire and keep those bastards at bay. The men quickly got their shields up, and soon archers began to return fire. The fight only lasted a few moments, but we lost 5 brave men. I knew not the count of the dead enemy fighters, but I could only hope it was greater than ours. Keep alert, men. Those foul beasts could come for us again at a moment's notice. Where'd it go? Where'd it go? Where'd it go? We're getting close to that 2-hour mark. Trying to make sure, okay, nobody's commented. I need to get my notebook out so I can find these names quicker. I'm just haven't done it yet. The rest of the trip was spent ready for another attack. There did not come another, but I could sense that they were there watching us. Our intuition was right, and thanks to that, we lost only a few. Still, those were lives lost that did not need to be so. I could see that Gaius was not happy about this. He had warned Palchus, but his words had fallen on deaf ears. Maybe this would wake Palchus up to the dangers in this barbaric land. When we reached the northern post, we were relieved. We now had the safety of a fully manned post. I could not help but think that this would still not be enough. We unloaded our boats and were greeted by Genus Julius Argicola. Welcome, welcome. Your arrival is most wanted. We have been undermanned for far too long. Please settle in, and then we will commence with the ceremonies. Tomorrow, those who will leave will take the boats back south, but tonight we celebrate. I think we'll leave that off for there because we're almost at that 2 hour mark. Appreciate you guys for coming in and getting an idea of how this book is going. Like I said, let me know in the comments if you like the title for this show for when I'm working on my books. Let me know if you want me to, every time I go live, work on this book or the People's Sentinel, which takes place during a famous character's life, the true history of a famous character's life. It also takes place in Britannia, but it takes place after this. It takes place after when Rome leaves Britannia. So, I hope you guys enjoyed this. Thanks for your inputs on a lot of this, and I'll see you guys later tonight. I am doing a show about the Legiō IX Hispana, which is what gave birth to this book. That's why I was working on it today, because I was going over some notes. So, like I said, I hope you guys enjoy it. Peace, love, and blessings to you all. And let me know what you think about this test run on this show title. I'll see you guys later on tonight. Bye.